Hello explorers, welcome back. So this is True Crime in Uno. And we are going all the way back to 1999 in Brazil. So we're starting off with $50 here. I'm not going to count it. But yeah, let's get started. So this true crime is about Suzane van Richthofen. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but you get it. So she was born to a dad who was a German engineer and mom who's a Brazilian Lebanese psychiatrist. So both of them were very well off. You guys know it takes me a second to kind of get into the groove of things. Let me see. So Suzane also has a younger brother, Andre, who was born in 1987. She studied at a German high school and then went on to study law at a Catholic university. She was described as shy, coming from a happy family, very successful parents, well-educated, basically the perfect daughter, so to speak, perfect family. Their family was very wealthy. They had an estimated wealth of $5.5 million. And when Suzane turned 18, her dad opened two anonymous. So it's kind of contradicts itself because it was said that there were two anonymous banks, Swiss banks, bank accounts with $10 million euros. But it also says that they were opened by her father for her when she turned 18 in 2021. So that's where it's a little, was it anonymous or was it not? Because we know that her dad opened them for her, so how is that anonymous? I'm not really sure. So in the summer, let's go back to 1999. So in the summer of 1999, she began studying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And here is where she meets Daniel. They started dating very, very quickly. They really didn't take any time to get to know each other. Teenage romance, it moved fast. And it started off great. Their parents were okay with it. They liked him at first, but that didn't last. Daniel was smoking weed every day, 24/7. He had no job. He wasn't going to school. He really had nothing going for him. He wasn't doing anything with his life. And obviously, coming from parents who are very well educated and have provided a great life for their daughter and are very successful, they wanted better for their daughter. And they expressed this to Suzane several times. But the more they expressed it, the more that she kind of rebelled and got closer and closer to Daniel. So, at one point, her parents went on a month-long vacation. I couldn't find where they went on vacation to, but they went on vacation for a month, and during that month, Suzane moved Daniel into the family home. This was definitely a surprise to her parents when they returned from their vacation to find that this guy that they did not approve of, had no job, wasn't going to school, wasn't doing anything, had moved into their home. So at that time, after they returned, Suzane asked her parents to get her own apartment so that she could have the freedom that she wanted and she could live with Daniel. They said, absolutely not. They didn't approve of him to begin with. They definitely were not going to finance her living with him. So her dad said, no, no, no. But if you would like to get your own apartment and move in with Daniel, you're free to do that. However, it's going to be on your own dime. Get a job and fund it all yourself. Suzane definitely didn't like this, and so she kept seeing Daniel. As her relationship with Daniel progressed, it was beginning to put a really bad strain on the family relationship and the family dynamic, because her parents were putting more and more pressure on her to end things with him, and it was just pushing her closer to him. So it was kind of just, everything was backfiring. So eventually, Suzane's parents gave her an ultimatum. If you break up with Daniel or we're going to cut your allowance. At this point, they had been funding her entire lifestyle. You know, she had that inheritance she was going to be getting from those Swiss bank accounts at some point. And so they gave her this ultimatum, and she was not about that. So on October 31st of 2002, Suzane and her little brother, Andre, went to a cyber cafe to play video games and meet up with some friends. Suzane also met up with Daniel and his brother, Christian. So Daniel was 21. I mean, I guess they would be the same age, right? If she turned 18 in 2001. Okay, so she was 19. Daniel's 21, and his brother, Christian, is 26 at the time. So they go to the cyber cafe. They meet up with she meets up with Daniel and Christian. And earlier that day, Suzane had deactivated her parents' home security cameras, as well as turned off the alarm system for their home. So after she meets up with them at the cyber cafe, they leave the cyber cafe, and Daniel and Christian pull up to her parents' house. She lets them in the gates. So they pull into the garage, they put their hoods up, and they wait in the garage while Suzane goes inside. She heads up the stairs to confirm that her parents are home. They're upstairs sleeping. She comes back downstairs to let the brothers know that, yes, they're home. This is where they are. I'm supposed to be putting $1 there. So then after she lets them know, she goes and she sits on the couch. And while she does that, the boys go upstairs to the parents' room with iron bars. When they get to the room, they begin beating her parents with these iron bars. They attempt to bash their heads in, but the parents, they don't die. They are hanging on for dear life. They're fighting back. They're screaming loudly. They are just putting up a fight. Which, good for them. So we're putting 4 into 5. So because of how much noise they were making, Daniel got kind of freaked out, and so he went to the bathroom and grabbed some towels, and he wet the towels, and he used those to put over their faces to muffle the sounds of the screams. Which, I mean, how are people gonna hear this anyways? These were millionaires. They had a massive house, I'm assuming. I'm not really sure. I'm assuming that their nearest neighbor was pretty far away, so I'm not really sure who would hear it. Maybe they have staff? I don't know. That was one thing that I had a lot of questions about. Like, with reading this whole thing, it made me think that they probably had some kind of, like, staff. So, I don't know. I couldn't find that, though. So he also attempted to strangle the parents with the wet towels, but that was not working either. The parents just continued to hang on and fight. So Daniel goes downstairs and gets a jug of water. His idea was to drown the parents with the water. So Daniel starts pouring the water on their faces, and so I'm guessing it's some kind of like waterboarding situation where he had the towels over their faces and was like pouring the water over the towels. But it does work, and the dad passes. The dad dies from this. The mom does not, however. So one of the brothers then grabbed a plastic bag and placed it over her head until she suffocated. So, like, this was a long and slow and painful death for both of these parents. And just the thought that Suzane was supposedly sitting downstairs the entire time, it's crazy to me. Like, it wasn't, I don't even know, you guys. I mean, I guess I try to put myself in, like, each person's shoes when I'm reading these, and I think it's just because I like to think about, like, the different psychological aspects of things, and putting myself in each person's shoes. In most murders, they're typically like quick. So there's not a whole lot of thinking that's going on during the murder. But these ones were like a literal murder marathon with how much was going on. And at this whole time, at no point did Suzane stop and think about what was going on. At no point in the how many different times the brothers had to change their plan, not one time did they stop and reevaluate what was going on and what they were doing. They just continued. So if you ask me, either they were truly like enjoying this and getting kicks out of it, or like, I don't know, how else do you at no point think, okay, this, just give up? Like, I can't fathom it. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. But that is that. So then afterwards, Suzane came upstairs to make sure that they were really dead, and the three of them came up with a plan. So this was their harebrained idea, which, based off of the fact that they've had to change their plans so many times with how they were going to end the lives of her parents, they clearly are not the most critical of thinkers. I think we can safely say that. But their plan was that they were going to make this look like a robbery. So they went around and like scattered some papers, but they did such a poor job of doing that. Like, it was so terribly executed that it was obvious that it was staged. They didn't break anything. The house wasn't like, it didn't look like somebody like ransacked the house. There was just some papers like placed around different areas of the rooms. So it was very, very obvious. So then they also, they took a ton of money from the parents as well. And then they went and they checked into a hotel. And they planned on using this as their alibi. Like, oh no, we couldn't have done this. We were checked into this hotel the whole time. But then Christian left and went to a fast food restaurant. And that was going to be his alibi, was that he was out eating at this fast food restaurant. So Suzane then checks out of the hotel, and she goes back to the cyber cafe to pick up her little brother. So this whole time, her little brother is still at the cyber cafe. Like, this poor kid. So she picks up Andre from the cyber cafe, and they head home. So then they discover the family together. They call the police and tell them that it was a break-in and somebody had killed their parents. When the police arrived, they immediately knew it was a lie and suspected someone close to the family, because they noted that the alarms were off, which was like a huge red flag. So originally they suspected brother and sister, so Suzane and Andre, but eventually they were able to narrow it down just to Suzane, because the day after this happened, so the day after she discovered her parents dead in their home in a brutal attack, it was her 19th birthday. And so she had friends over and her boyfriend over to hang out and go swimming. She basically held herself a 19th birthday party the day after this. So that was, I'm sorry, what? What? So days later, Christian, the boyfriend's brother, pays cash for a motorcycle. And this was another huge red flag, because this guy had no job and he came from a bad neighborhood. Like, he definitely did not have the means to purchase a motorcycle in cash. And the police knew that there was a large sum of cash that had been taken from the house as part of the robbery. So they kind of started putting two and two together, like, okay, it's not just Suzane that we're suspecting, it's definitely the boyfriend has some involvement, and so does apparently now the brother. Well, Suzane was the first one to get arrested, and then later they arrested the brothers. During her interrogation, Suzane breaks down and confesses to everything. And it became a huge media sensation because of the differences between Suzane and the brothers. Suzane was this pretty blonde who came from a wealthy family, a very affluent family, very well educated. Her parents were well educated. She was well educated. Like, they were having a hard time believing that she could have anything to do with this. Not Suzane. There's no way. I think I just put this one in the wrong one, didn't I? Oh, no. Now we're going to Ford. Okay. So the media just refused to believe that she had anything to do with this because of the pretty blonde rich girl. Like, she had no motive. And so they were really putting it all on. I think I already put $1 in here, but oh well. They were really putting it all on the brothers because they said the brothers just looked like criminals. So that, and she spoke 3 different languages, and it really just divided the people. However, during an interview that she was doing, she was being coached by her lawyer. So at one point, he leaned in and told her to make sure that she cries, and to cry loud and hard so that people believe her more. Well, the cameras caught all of this interaction and every word of what the lawyer had said, and it aired on TV. So this is finally what made everyone flip and believe, okay, she did this. She did this. She's guilty. That's it. And it was literally like the flip of a switch. You know, despite the fact that, you know, she had a confession this whole time and nobody believed her, now they believe that she did it. So the 3 were put on trial for first-degree murder in July of 2006. So it was like 4 years after the fact. And Suzane tried to put all of the blame on the boys. She said that it was their idea and that she went along with it. The lawyer said she had no motive and that she did this because she looked up to Daniel. He was a god. She was obsessed with him. But obviously the boys then pointed the finger at Suzane, saying they did it because of the payout that they were going to be receiving. So it's a he said, she said on everything here. So during the trial, she showed absolutely no emotion. None. While both boys cried a lot throughout the trial. And this part of the story really bothered me. So they cried throughout this trial, and I guess that's supposed to mean that, like, they had remorse. But I find that really hard to believe because, like I said before, this was like a murder marathon. This wasn't they tried one thing, it didn't work, and they, like, backed out because, oh my god, what are we doing? They continued to come up with new plans and new ways, which tells me that they had critical thinking during this entire thing, and not one time did they stop and say, oh my god, what are we doing, and stop it. No, they just continued to come up with new ways. So the fact that they were showing, like, remorse and crying throughout the trial, if you ask my opinion, is just, it's a show. It's all a show. Because absolutely not. They were crying because they got caught and they were going to go to jail or prison. So at one point, Suzane began to laugh when she was being questioned during the trial. The prosecutors stated they rebutted what her lawyer had said, saying that there was no motive, because the prosecutors stated that if her parents passed, she was set to inherit $17 million. Obviously, that is motive because she is spoiled, she is entitled, she is a narcissist. So, in court, her and her lawyer tried everything. First, they tried the whole she didn't have motive. Then they tried stating that, she did this because Daniel convinced her to. And eventually they resorted to attacking the dead parents, stating that her dad sexually was abusing her and that her parents were alcoholics. However, her brother got on the stand and testified against her claims, stating that there was never any sexual abuse in that house. The parents were not alcoholics. They did run a toxicology on both parents, and there was not a drop of alcohol in either one of them. Now, does this state that they weren't alcoholics? No, it doesn't. It just shows that they didn't have anything at the time of the murder. But no signs pointed to the fact that any of these claims from her were true or from her lawyer were true. Prosecutors claimed that she masterminded the entire thing, and they were pushing for a sentence of 50 years. On July 22nd, 2006, all three of them were sentenced: Suzane, Christian, and Daniel. Suzane was sentenced to 40 years, while Christian and Daniel each received 38 years. In 2009, Suzane appealed for house arrest, and that was quickly denied. I'm sorry, what? House arrest to what? Your parents' house that you killed them in? This girl's crazy. So then in 2011, her brother Andre sued Suzane for half of the inheritance that she got. So this is where it just takes a turn, because in the United States, she never would have gotten that inheritance. But Brazilian law is completely different. So even though she killed her parents, she still received her inheritance because they were dead. Yes, you heard that correctly. She still received her inheritance. She didn't receive it. She would receive it when she was released from prison. So she was still going to get the $17 million for killing them. So I'm sorry, what was to stop her from killing them? Because she's still getting the inheritance no matter how they die. Which I can't even begin to understand. But her brother Andre sued her for half of that. And he won. And he actually got everything. So here's another part of Brazilian law that I do not understand. So in the Brazilian law, at least back then, I can't speak to now, but at the time, they have it where prisoners can actually be released for holidays. So Suzane was released for Mother's Day, Christmas, and other holidays for up to 7 days. And then after that, she just goes back. Could you imagine? She murdered her mother, and then she gets to get out of prison to celebrate Mother's Day. What? Brazil, I don't know what you guys are doing over there, but I can't. I can't. So she has appealed a couple of times, and she's not out. She's not getting out. So she's still sitting in prison where she belongs. Whether or not she's still getting out for holidays, I am not certain, but my mind was blown on this one. Let me know what you guys think. Also, I thought about this. So her lawyer had claimed that, it was all because of Daniel. So it made me wonder, if she wouldn't have ever been with Daniel, would her parents still have wound up murdered? Was this because of the situation? I mean, obviously I feel as though, while I don't think it was Daniel's fault in the sense that, if he wouldn't have been with her, obviously he wouldn't have killed her parents. But do I think that her parents would have wound up dead if she would have been with somebody else? So in that sense, it kind of is his... I mean, it is his fault. He's the one that did it. But I don't know. Would she have just had some other guy do it if it was a different relationship? Would this have happened if her parents would have approved of her relationship with Daniel? I don't know. I have so many questions. There's so many what ifs. But that is the story of Suzane van Richthofen. I don't know how to pronounce her name. So there's that. So yeah, let me know if you guys have ever heard of this case. I had not, which is kind of funny because when I saw her picture, it looked familiar, but I don't recall this case at all. So that is that. All right, so we are going to start. I do have my $100 slips just in case. Let's start from the front just in case any of these can get reallocated. So in trash, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. $7 going into trash. And you guys, I know I messed up a couple of times. I'm aware. It's okay. It's all going into the same high yield savings, so I'm not concerned if I mess up and put things in the wrong envelopes. 7, so we get to color in 3 icons on trash. We just reallocated this one last time. If there is a case that you guys would like to hear about in the next Uno or any upcoming Unos, let me know in the comments below. I just cashed out $100 for my credit card rewards, so there will be another Uno very quickly. So, in gas, we are putting $3 in. So now in gas we have 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So we get to color 1 in on gas. We are over halfway to reallocating this one again. I try to stay away from like super high profile cases. I know this, I'm pretty sure this one was like super high profile in Brazil, but I don't remember it ever in the States. So I'm sure it was, but I just didn't know of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going into water. So in water we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The only high profile that I can for sure tell you that I will end up doing one on is JonBenet Ramsey, because that is, if there was ever a case that I wanted answers to, that is the case. That's a case that I've been obsessed with for years, just because I have so many theories as to what happened, as to where things went wrong. It's just, I feel like anybody who's into true crime has that one case that they just can't let go of, and for me, that one's it. We're almost the same age. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going into Cox Internet. So there's 7 in Cox Internet, which means we get to color 1 in. I thought about doing one on Gypsy Rose, only because she is getting released next month. But I still haven't decided if I'm going to do one on her. So $3 going into Progressive. So we have 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 29 in Progressive. Oh, we do not get to color one in. We don't get to color one in. I don't know how. But there's 29 in Progressive and we would need 30. So a lot of these are one away from getting one colored. I think like 3 of these so far are. HOA is getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now in HOA we have 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Why can I not do math right now? Okay, we don't get to color one in here either. We need one more. AT&T is getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now in AT&T we have 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 28. This one needs 2 more to get to color one in. NB Energy is getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So NB Energy now has 100, 200 in a high yield. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is $4 away from getting one colored in, which will complete this. Ford is getting $4. So now in Ford, we have 1, 200 in a high yield, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. So $230. And so we should have 11 colored in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So nothing getting colored in on this one. Mortgage is getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now in mortgage, we have 1,000 in a high yield and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. $1,009 in mortgage. So next time we're going to be coloring in a lot. And hopefully finally completing NB Energy and reallocating it into mortgage. So that is all that I have for you guys today. And I will see you back here for my next video. Bye.